Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel is spectating with concern as the Syrian army reaches an agreement with several rebel-held villages adjacent to the border with the Jewish state, seeing the Assad regime regain control of the area. The chairman of IranAir, the civil airline company of the Islamic Republic, took delivery in France of the first Western airliner, Airbus, calling it a sunny day for relations between Iran and Europe. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, announced he would recommend a full review of the nuclear agreement with Iran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who also acts as Israel's top diplomat, welcomed Norwegian's Minister of Foreign Affairs Borg Brende at his residence in Jerusalem, during which they signed a declaration of intent to advance bilateral cooperation in the fields of research and development. Minister Brende conveyed to Prime Minister Netanyahu Norway's condolences for the terror attack that claimed the lives of 4 Israelis on Sunday. Netanyahu responded by drawing a line between the effort by terrorists to render any possibility of reaching a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians to the International Peace Conference scheduled to take place in Paris later this month.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment, obviously. I mean, we're all faced here with a great challenge against the forces of terrorism that not only seek to destroy Israel, but seek, of course, to render any possibility of peace totally hopeless. There are other such efforts that render peace hopeless, and one of them is the Paris conference. It's a rigged conference, rigged by the Palestinians with French auspices to adopt additional anti-Israel stances. This pushes peace backward. It's not going to obligate us. It's a relic of the past. It's a last gasp of the past before the future sets in.
Representatives of 72 countries, including Norway, Finland, and the United States, are scheduled to attend the Paris conference. Now, in other news, Israeli concerns have been rising after Syrian rebel forces began to abandon villages on the Syrian side of the Golan border with Israel, while the Syrian army has begun to return to those areas, a fact Israeli security officials said was paving the way for its allies, Iran and Hezbollah, to bolster their presence adjacent to the Jewish state. Representatives of the Assad regime have been engaged in talks with rebels on the Syrian side of the Golan Heights in an attempt to reach understandings for them to evacuate the areas under their control, in keeping with the model of surrender used in Aleppo after the rebels lost control of the eastern part of the city. The regime has succeeded thus far in persuading rebels in at least 5 communities on the Syrian side of the border to leave the area unharmed. The Syrian army has since retaken its control over those areas, some of which have received humanitarian aid from Israel over the past few years. Thus far, Israel has maintained a low profile in all that pertains to the civil war in Syria, yet now that the Syrian army is returning to the border with the backing of Iranian Al-Quds units and thousands of Shiite militiamen operating under Iranian supervision, Israel might be dragged into the conflict, as it has on several occasions voiced a red line with regard to presence of Iranian or Hezbollah operatives on its border region. Sources told TV7 that while Israel closely monitors the situation, it also is in contact with Moscow as the entity that has been advising the Assad regime in its negotiations with the rebels is known as the Reconciliation Center, which is part of Russian intelligence in Israel's northern neighbor. Its job is to engage in dialogue with the various clan leaders and rebel commanders in order to secure a nationwide cessation of hostilities as part of the Moscow Declaration signed last month. Meanwhile, Moscow has scheduled a conference aimed to restart the political process between the Syrian government and opposition groups, a conference that is to be held on the 23rd of January in Kazakhstan. According to reports, Russian President Vladimir Putin chose that date because it is the first workday for President-elect Trump after his inauguration on the 20th of January, a fact that would limit any possible American influence over the results of the conference. That said, Israel's influence over Russia regarding the arrangements in Syria is low and is contingent on Moscow's interests, in which Russia will not necessarily side with Israel when the Syrian army returns to the Golan border. Now to another matter, a senior official from the Turkish Foreign Ministry in Ankara said that he believed that Turkey and Israel were entering a new stage in bilateral relations, noting that the closer relations would include visits by various government ministers. The official also said that defense cooperation between the two countries would grow stronger in the face of regional challenges. Meanwhile, Turkish Justice Minister Bakir Bozdag revealed that Turkey sought to increase its free trade agreement with Israel, which went into effect over 20 years ago. During the first 10 months of 2016, Turkish exports to Israel grew by over 9%, totaling $2.7 billion. Now to another matter, the chairman of IranAir, the civil airline company of the Islamic Republic, took delivery in France of the first Western airliner, Airbus, calling it a sunny day for relations between Iran and Europe. The delivery of the 189-seat plane already painted in IranAir's livery is the first of 100 ordered from Airbus, following a deal reached in July of 2015 between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the P5+1, which consists out of the United States, Russia, China, France, Britain plus Germany, to lift crippling economic sanctions against Iran in return for curbs on the country's nuclear activities. The airline has also ordered 80 aircrafts from Boeing. Highlighting Iran's emergence from years of international isolation, the Airbus delivery marks the first brand new jet directly acquired from a Western manufacturer for decades. Now to other news pertaining to Iran. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, announced he would recommend a full review of the nuclear agreement with Iran, but noted that he did not call for an outright rejection of the 2015 accord. Speaking in his Senate confirmation hearing, Tillerson stressed that it was imperative to verify whether the Islamic Republic is indeed meeting its obligations.
With respect to the recent agreement to limit Iran's ability to advance or make progress towards development of a nuclear weapon, if confirmed, my recommendations, and I think this is consistent with what the President-elect is now, is to do a full review of that agreement as well as any number of side agreements that I understand are part of that agreement. Examine whether Iran and our ability to verify whether Iran is meeting its obligations under the agreement, and ensure that we are enforcing all the mechanisms available that hold them to that agreement.
During the presidential campaign, President-elect Donald Trump has repeatedly bashed the nuclear agreement, saying his #1 priority would be to dismantle it, a declaration warmly welcomed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who on several occasions has referred to the agreement with the Islamic Republic, which openly calls for Israel's destruction, as a historic mistake. Thank you for watching us. You can also watch us at TV7israelnews.com or TV7.fi. For any comments, please send your emails to israelnews@tv7.fi. For more updates from Israel and the region, please join our Facebook page at TV7 Israel News. Praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hessen. Have a Erev Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
In order to donate to TV7 Israel News, please follow these simple steps. First, press the Donate logo, located at the bottom left side of TV7 Israel News Facebook page, or on the Donate tab at the head of the page. Then insert the amount you'd like to donate, and fill in your credit card information. Just like this. And press Review Donation and continue. After reviewing your donation details, please press Donate to finalize your donation. That's it! Your donation is now complete, and an email with your donation details has been sent to your email address. You can also print your donation receipt by pressing the link here. Thank you for supporting TV7 Israel News.